Hello and welcome to Peter's Kitchen. Today we're going to make apricot and pecan nut cookies. A Delia Smith recipe. So, first of all, she asks us to toast the chopped pecan nuts. Where are they? Here we are, pecan nuts, and we need 10 grams of those. So onto the scale, I'm putting a small tray, metal tray. A couple of extra ones won't hurt. There we are. That's 19 grams, twice as much. And using this, we can cut and chop the pecans. Maybe they should be toasted whole first. That won't matter. Doesn't seem to be a lot. 10 grams. I'm going to do a few more. So onto the metal tray and into the oven. The oven is set at 170 degrees centigrade. They can go in there for a few minutes. In the meantime, we need to melt some butter together with sugar and some syrup into a small saucepan. So, sugar. How much sugar? 75 grams. And butter. I'm using Flora soft margarine butter. And we need 110 grams of this. So reset the scales to 0. That's 55. 95. 106. 110 grams of butter together with 1 dessert spoon of syrup. She suggests popping the spoon under hot water first, and then the syrup will simply fall off the spoon. You know what it's like. Pouring syrup onto a cold spoon, it goes everywhere. It's a sticky mess. So let's pop once the water's boiled, or once the water runs hot, we'll pop the spoon underneath. The water is getting hot now. And here's syrup in one of these easy dispensers. So that's hot enough. And 1 dessert spoonful. There we are, and that just pours off with the help of the spatula. Great. Super duper. And that goes on to a gentle heat until all that's dissolved. With a wooden spoon. She emphasizes a wooden spoon. Here we are. So while that's melting, dissolving, we put the dry ingredients into a bowl. Again, set the scales to 0. And here we need 110 grams of self-raising flour. Remember to pop it onto 0 after putting the sieve on the bowl. So 110 grams of self-raising flour, and give that a nice sieve from a height, so I don't worry about all the flour going everywhere. From a height, because that allows air to go into the mixture. Cinnamon, a teaspoon of cinnamon. There's a nice rounded teaspoon. And a little pinch of salt. Just in case the top falls off, hold the top. This one fell off the other day. And pop some onto your palm rather than directly in. Then you can see what you're doing. There we are. These little tips, how's that doing? It's melting. Right, and then the porridge oats as well, for 110 grams or 4 ounces of porridge oats. Again, reset the scales to 0 and 110 grams of oats. There we are. Forgot to turn the tap off. Now, plenty of hot water there. So, meanwhile, mix everything evenly, and when the butter, sugar and syrup have melted, pour this in to join the rest. So once the syrup, the wet ingredients go in, we will make a dough. So while that's doing that, I'm going to weigh out some apricots. 25 grams, she says. No, I think it was... Doesn't seem to be a lot, does it? Apricots, where are they? Here we are. One of these self-sealing bags. So she's asking us to put the apricots and the nuts on top of the cookies. But I think we should have some in the mixture as well. So I'm going to do a few more than 25 grams. So it's not much, is it? 40 grams worth. So I don't know how many cookies this amount makes. So using this just suggests actually cutting the apricot with a pair of scissors. Let's do that. Snip, snip, snip. Snip, snip. Snip, there we are. The butter mixture is doing well. What about those roasting nuts in the oven? I think I better take those out. And that's a little bit on the hot side. Just turn down the heat. So there we are. I've snipped some apricots. You can always cut some more once we've done the cookies. I think it's going to make at least 24 because she suggests 2 baking trays. So let's put those to one side, get our oats, move there we are. This is melting quite well, almost all dissolved. So that was butter, syrup and sugar. I'll just remind you what she suggests. 110 grams of butter. We do put apricots in. Yes, I just reread the recipe. We need 110 grams of apricots. So we put some on top and some inside. So I'm going to do another 60 grams worth. There we are. So let's snip these. Yes, it's much easier with the scissors. You get a better cut. With the cutter that I was using just now, everything gets a little sort of clogged up. Let's take that off the feet. Why people don't cook more is because they're fearful. I think basically why we don't do things in life is because of fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of making mistakes. Fear to interfere, if you like, with our image. We all want an image in life, don't we? Doing practical things, functional things, like cooking, requires a certain skill, but you learn the skill as you go along. And with recipes, one just needs to follow the recipe as best as one can, and not to rush. There we are, we've got lots of apricot now. There we are. So let's just see, let's follow the instructions, shall we? Meanwhile, we've done the flour, cinnamon and salt, and add the porridge, oats and the snipped apricots. So here they go. And we'll do a few more later for putting on the top. And then mix all that together. The flour, the oats. Again, that was 110, I believe. Yes, so this is the 110 gram recipe. 110 flour, 110 oats, 110 sugar, 110 apricots, 110 butter. Okay, the sugar was 75 grams there. Mix all that in. I like to use a spatula. These are good, these spatulas. See, I've got a lot more out. That was at least another teaspoon. These little spatulas. Right, mix all that together. And then we've got to make balls the sort of size of a walnut. And if it's too wet, we can add a little bit more flour, which I think I'll do. There we are. Great. Pop that over there, pop that over there, that up there. And then on the, not a lot of room in my kitchen, but we make do. Put some flour on the surface there. And then scrape the back of the spoon and the front. There we are. Flour one's hand and then make a dough. Quite a sticky dough. You can go on the flour on the surface. I can go over there. A bit more flour on your hands. I should wear an apron really. Actually, Mary Berry suggests to get sort of even, to get an even cookie, even cookies, is to pop the dough into a tray. Pat it down. Don't quite know what sort of thickness, maybe 1.5 centimeters. And then we get a knife and cut into lengths of about 3 centimeters in width. And turn it round. And the other way, little oblongs, rectangles, about 4 centimeters the other way. And then you've got similar sizes. Right. Then we get a baking tray, which has been lined. And we take, so that's the result. and the ones around the edges we can double up. So double up there, triple up there, and make a little ball. And pop that onto the baking tray. Little balls. They won't all be exactly the same size. That's the beauty of homemade cooking, isn't it? Baking, especially, because we do get different size cookies. I think that's another thing. Always buying your, in this case, biscuits. We expect every biscuit to be this, well, we see that every biscuit's the same shape and size. We're not, us humans aren't machines. In some ways we are, but not mechanical. Right, these are slightly bigger. I'm putting 12 on this sheet. Well, 9 actually. Let's just see whether that's, I can fit 12 on. I think so. Maybe there's a bit on the big size. I suppose there's a bit of a technique there. Let's make sure the oven is hot enough. And you know what I've done? I've forgotten to take out the roasted pecans. I don't think we'll use those, they're a little bit dark. So, I think I'll have untoasted pecans. And then with the mound of your palm of the hand, this bit, press down onto the balls. There, pop that onto there. So we've got these flattened and then we're going to put a bit of apricot on top. So, cut some more now. Let's read what she says in the instructions. Mix everything evenly, etc. Now take lumps of the dough the size of a walnut and roll them into rounds using the flat of your hand. Place them on and then place them down. Then scatter the snipped apricots and chopped pecans on top and press these gently in. So, snip, 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 lengthways and then widthways. Difficult to get them to stay on because as you take your finger off they remain stuck to the finger. There we are. And then you won't worry about, I don't think those, I think they're a bit dark. So let's get a fresh couple of pecans and cut those up. and pop a little bit on each cookie. Or should we not bother with them? Otherwise they won't be called apricot and pecan cookies if we don't have some pecan. Maybe I shouldn't have pressed the balls down until after I'd added the pecan and apricot. We learn as we go along. There we are. So we've got apricots and pecans on top of the cookies. Let's pop those in the oven. And for 10 minutes. Oh no, for 15 minutes on the middle shelf in the preheated oven. Right, and then we've got some here to put on another baking sheet. So you've got 2, 4, 6, 8. We've got 12 more. Give them a roll. 1, 2, 'This is a bit smaller. Is it so much easier once after having cut up the dough into little rectangles or squares, rather than try to measure it out using a teaspoon? So that was a good tip from Mary Berry. Maybe we could make more, smaller ones. These are quite large. I think I'll take a little bit of that one to add to that one. I just kind of squeeze. They're quite wet. There we are. Do that one a bit more. Right, back to adding some pecan and apricots to the top. So again, let's cut those up. One could add anything, one could make cherry and almonds, that would be nice, instead of pecan and apricots. So let's add a bit of nut to each one. The secret of doing anything is to be happy while you're doing it, even happy with the mistakes. Not to get all flustered about it all. And then a bit of some apricot as well. Again, let's do a snip. I should be timing these, shouldn't I? They've been in about 3 minutes. So that takes us up to 10 to 1. I usually put the alarm on, because I do tend to forget sometimes. So a bit of apricot on each one. This is a bit fiddly. I don't know whether it matters really. Press down with the palm of your hand. But being patient is one of the qualities that we have to learn in life. I must admit I do love cherries, so maybe if I do these again I'll do cherries. So I don't know whether you want to hang around for another 10 minutes. I expect I'll do another video. So there we are, 32 minutes. There's the second batch. Let's see how these are doing. Oh, they're spreading out quite well. So, until next time, hope you've been entertained and amused. Bye for now.